As temperatures start to drop and fall takes hold, many people may think it's time for gardening to end, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Here to tell us why we should put those gloves back on is Dr. Michael Arnold, professor and director of the garden at Texas A&M University. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, howdy, great to be there.
So,
You are absolutely right about this being not the time to put your tools up. Weather's perfect, and there are lots of things in the fall garden that need to be taken care of.
well, that's what I wanted to ask, So people, want to start putting the gloves away, thinking, okay, I just got to bust out the rake to rake up the leaves, and that's it. But what are some of the seeds that maybe we should be planting right now?
Yeah, fall is a fantastic time for planting. Obvious things that come to mind are wildflowers that we might want to use. It's also the appropriate time to plant many of our spring flowering bulbs. And so, kind of thinking about what you want your garden to look like in the spring. And this is the perfect time to be planting trees and shrubs to get a good establishment, get them off and going before next season. So, any of those are great opportunities to plant this time of year.
So what happens if we see a freeze? What do we do, and will they even survive?
That's a really good question. With our wildflowers, most of them are well adapted to our conditions because they're typically native species. So once we get them up and established in the fall, we'll want to keep soils moist until they're growing well. Most of them will exist as vegetative portions of the plant through the winter, and usually they're pretty tolerant of that. Now, if we're planting things like trees or shrubs, or if we're planting some cool season annuals, now those we may want to provide a little bit of protection if we have a severe winter event.
So the winter can get cold, bitter, and extremely dry sometimes. How do we know how much water to give them to get a successful wildflower bloom in the spring?
That's a really critical discussion you bring up there. Plants that are well watered in, one that'll tend to buffer some the temperature change at the soil level, but it also will keep the tissues well hydrated. So those drying winds that we have come in the winter won't tend to dry the plants out. So before we have a freeze event, it's always a good idea to water your garden in well. And then, of course, we cover after that if we need to do so for tender material.
Of course. Well, Dr. Michael Arnold with Texas A&M, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, and may we have a bountiful spring.
That sounds good. Let's keep our fingers crossed for a little bit of rain here and get those wildflowers started for next spring.
Thank you.
Okay. Come see us in the garden.